Hi, are you getting ready to take the Praxis Core Reading Exam? That's test code 5713. If that is a test that you need to pass, then good news. My name is Cleo. I'm a longtime tutor and a test prep expert here with Study.com. And today I'm going to go over my top 10 tips for passing the exam. So let's jump in. The Praxis Core Reading Exam gives you 85 minutes to answer 56 multiple choice questions, which Praxis calls selected response. That's 1.5 minutes per question, which is more time per question than you get on the other Praxis tests. However, for all the questions, you also have to read a short or longer passage. So the time per question is actually pretty tight, especially if you're a slower reader. Number 1, aim for about 1 minute and 15 seconds per multiple choice question. You actually have about 1.5 minutes per question, but some questions have longer passages. Aiming to spend less time will give you cushion for those harder, more time consuming questions. Consider practicing with a stopwatch so you can know how long you're spending per question, and so you get used to what 1 minute and 15 seconds feels like. Remember, you can't bring your watch into the exam, so you need to do enough practice that you know what the right pace feels like. Number 2, skip and come back. If a question is stumping you, don't waste time staring at it. Skip it and come back at the end. You want to make sure you have enough time to answer all of the questions that you do know how to do. Who knows? The easiest question of the day may be the last one on the exam. Of course, don't forget to come back to the questions you skipped. If they still stump you, always put in a guess. Number 3, read the question before the passage. Many of the questions consist of a short passage followed by one question. By short, I mean a couple of sentences or one paragraph. Here's an example. If you're a fast reader, you could start by reading the passage carefully, but you'll be reading a lot of information you don't need to answer a question. Start by reading the question under the passage so you know what to pay attention to. Now you know that you should focus on the organization only when you read the passage. You could also skim the answer choices before going to the passage so that you know what options to look for. Follow this advice when you see charts and graphs instead of written passages. There's no reason to scrutinize a graph until you know what you need to look for. The next 4 tips are key strategies for answering questions. Use these strategies to save time and to get through problems that are more difficult. Number 4, read the whole passage, but not too carefully. Most of the passages are short, but you'll also see longer passages. The longest passages are usually a few paragraphs long. You'll be asked several questions about these longer passages, so it's worth your time spending a little more time reading them. But don't spend too long reading. You aren't going to be quizzed on the details, and you can and should refer back to the passage when answering the question. When you encounter questions with longer passages, you'll often see questions that require you read and understand the full passage, or at least individual paragraphs. You will also see 2 passages side by side. These questions will usually ask you to compare some aspect of both passages, so you should make sure you read both of them. Number 5, refer back to the passage. Always refer back to the passage when answering the question. You're crunched for time and unlikely to have read carefully enough that you remember it in detail. After you select your answer, check back in the passage to confirm that it's the correct answer. Take 10 seconds to skim this passage. Now, read the question and answer choices and select your answer. Before finalizing your answer, check it in the passage. For this word and context question, substitute your answer for the word audaciously. I think the correct answer is C, boldly, so I'm going to try, they boldly place antennas and oscillators as external components. That makes sense and fits the meaning of the sentence and the surrounding sentences, so choice C is correct. Number 6, always guess. Don't leave any questions blank. A blank question is an automatic 0 for that question. There is no chance of getting a point for it. Since there's no penalty for guessing, you should always put in a guess even if you have no idea what the answer is. Since there are 5 answer choices, you'll get a free point about 20% of the time. When you're guessing, first eliminate any answer choices that you know are wrong. Then choose a random answer choice. I recommend deciding ahead of time what your guessing letter is. For example, always select choice A when guessing. This way, you don't waste time trying to decide what to guess. Number 7, choose answers supported by the passage. You are not required to learn facts for this exam. The Praxis Core Reading tests your skills in reading comprehension and analysis. You may see answers that sound right based on outside knowledge you have, but you should only choose answers that are supported by the text. Let's look again at the theremin passage. Here's another vocabulary and context question. You might use your knowledge of history and associate revolutionary with the American Revolution or other revolutionary wars. In that context, the correct answer might be rebellious. But you have to refer to the passage to find your correct answer. In the context of sentence 1, the answer is innovative. My last 3 tips are about how to get the most from your preparation. Follow these tips while you are preparing to feel confident on test day. Number 8, don't spend time memorizing, but do review skills. Yes, you'll be asked some vocabulary questions, but drilling vocabulary is unlikely to help you on the Praxis Core Reading. For the vocabulary questions, it's okay if you don't know the meaning of a word. Refer to the passage to see if it makes sense in context. For these questions and all the other questions on the exam, review the reading comprehension and analysis skills that will be assessed. These include finding the main idea, understanding how a passage is organized, identifying the author's perspective, and more. Study.com's prep course has lessons that go over these skills and give techniques for using them. After reviewing the skills, the best way to prepare for the exam is practice, which takes me to tip number 9. Practice, practice, practice. There is no substitute for working through sample questions that mirror those that you will face on test day. Every practice question that you do is going to help you be a little more prepared for test day. When you see that question on the test, you'll think, oh yeah, I just did something like this. That is going to help you a ton. Study.com has unlimited practice, so you can focus on the areas that you need the most help with. As you practice, read the explanations that accompany the question. This will help you understand why you were right or wrong and how you can do better on a similar question next time. Number 10, take full-length practice tests. Make sure to take at least 1 and preferably 2 or 3 full-length practice tests. I know it can be hard to find an uninterrupted hour and a half, but it's essential that you get a feel for the full test experience start to finish and build stamina for a full-length test. You don't want to get halfway through the actual test and realize you're losing focus. You can prep in a number of different ways. I'm going to recommend Study.com's Praxis Core Reading Test Prep course. It covers everything that I just went through, but in a ton more detail, including short-form videos that explain all the concepts you're going to encounter on the test, along with a huge bank of high-quality practice questions, complete with answer explanations, so you can learn from your mistakes. All the content has been written and vetted by former teachers, and users who complete the course have a 92% pass rate on the test. So yeah, a great resource for you. Also, please check out more videos in these series. We have Praxis Core Reading question walkthroughs here shortly so that we can tackle some specific questions together, as well as information for a bunch more Praxis tests. So, if you found this video helpful, please like and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell to get alerted when new teacher test prep content drops. Also, I want to hear from you. Let me know down below in the comments if there are specific tests or questions you're struggling with that you think we should cover here. And don't forget to circle back once you have passed your Praxis 5713 to let us know so we can celebrate with you. Take care.